Good day. Schools produce substantial research, but production alone does not create visibility or impact. So, paper may be completed, presented, and uploaded, yet remain difficult to find in Google Scholar. So, you need to even write your name, you type your name there, you type the title, and no researchers do that, to cite you. So, it's difficult for visibility and it's difficult for impact. So this presentation proposes a more systematic institutional strategy. So publish through properly managed journals, make research consistently discoverable, build citation performance over time, and develop the quality record required for more selective databases such as Scopus or World of Science. So the first problem is the gap between the uploading and discoverability. So many schools place papers on a general institutional website and assume that Google Scholar will eventually find them. Sometimes it does, sometimes it does not. Most of the time it does not because it lacks the metadata. So paper that cannot be reliably discovered by title, by author, publication details, that is functionally invisible to many researchers, even though the file is technically online. So the truth of the matter is that Google Scholar does not index research simply because a PDF exists somewhere on a website. Its guidance emphasizes separate article pages, and this is where most of the schools fail because it's not separate. So unique URLs, bibliographic information, accessible full text, references, and crawlable links. The technical details may be handled by the journal platform and service provider, but institutional leaders should understand the principle. Discoverability is designed and maintained. It is not achieved merely by waiting. Sometimes we wait for years and years, sometimes 2 years to be able to be discovered, and that's really embarrassing for our people. So a school's website and a journal platform, they serve different purposes. However, I don't know, most of the schools they think that they can just make their school website as the journal platform. But truth of the matter is that they serve different purposes. The school website is appropriate for news, for admissions, institutional information, while an open journal systems platform is designed specifically for journals, issues, articles, and editorial decisions. And also, the most important is peer review. Okay, so the journal, therefore, should have a distinct publishing environment even when it remains clearly owned or affiliated by the institution. Yeah, Scopus, for that matter, remains an important objective, but it is not a simple destination for every paper. So when we say, oh, we are looking for Scopus index publication, let us remember that Scopus evaluates journals as publication sources. Its criteria include the editorial policy, the peer review, the geographical distribution, academic contribution, article quality, journal standing, citedness, and publishing regularity. Therefore, institutions should regard Scopus inclusion as the result of sustained journal quality, not as a shortcut for individual papers, because in the end you will be cited by Scopus and one individual paper, and you spend so much money and you spend a lot of time waiting to be indexed with that one paper alone, and then that paper belongs to a faculty that eventually you know removes himself or herself from the institution, and there you go, your Scopus index publication is from a faculty that is no longer connected with you. So a more accurate way to explain the risk is this, no? Scopus continuously reevaluates covered journals. That's another thing, no? During reevaluation, new content flow may be suspended. If a journal is discontinued, forward coverage stops. However, the material already indexed normally remains in Scopus as part of the scientific record, except in severe ethical cases. Thus, the concern is not that every earlier paper simply disappears. The concern is uncertainty over continued future coverage. So that means even if you target Scopus journals, that journal might be crawled by Scopus Now or cited by Scopus Now, but then next year it's no longer Scopus Index. Okay, so the more important procedure in research is to follow from this slide. Publishing in established external journals should remain part of the strategy. However, relying on it exclusively creates recurring uncertainty. Not every paper will match the journal scope. Review can take time. Fees vary widely, and some open access options are very expensive. And imagine, look at the waiting time only to not be rejected or only to be accepted just for one paper. So more importantly, the institution does not build its own editorial, technical, and scholarly publishing capacity when every research output is sent elsewhere. The H-index balances productivity and citation influence. So for example, for me, currently I have an H-index of 15. So if an author has an H-index of 15, at least 15 of that author's publications have received at least 15 citations each. So one paper with hundreds of citations does not itself by itself create an H index of 15. So, because even if you are Scopus index and you publish in Scopus, you have one paper with so many citations, hundreds of citations, but then only one paper. And all the other citations cannot be cited in Google Scholar, and it simply is not there. So what will happen to your Google Scholar profile, right? So that is why broad and consistent discoverability matters. More papers must have a reasonable opportunity to be found, read, and cited. And this is something that I need to emphasize. Being in ResearchGate doesn't mean that you're initially already discoverable. Even if you get cited there, it's not an automatic citation, because most of the scholars or most of the researchers in ResearchGate can just add their researches by themselves. So if they can cite you. It seems that they have published their paper, but it's not if it's not cited in Google Scholar, if it's not correlable in Google Scholar, then you're not getting cited. Just like in other publications. Some of my friends are saying, "Oh, I'm there in this journal, and they said that they will cite me." But then, however, even if they said that I'm cited, and I can see that from their paper that they have cited me, it's not reflecting in my Google Scholar, and it's not being cited it's not being crawled, because truth of the matter is that they just uploaded it somewhere in ResearchGate, or so it's not real. Even if they publish it in their paper in their school, then if that paper is not crawled or cited by Google Scholar, then your paper is not going to be cited. Even if they cited your paper, it's not going to reflect on your Google Scholar. So that's the fact of the matter. So again, a portfolio can have one exceptional paper with many citations, while of the other outputs receive little or no attention. That success is valuable, but it does not create a broad institutional impact. This is what happens to most schools. That's why they are able. Some of the accreditors will say, "Oh, look for Scopus Index, journals, etc." But it will only benefit one or two or three faculty members. because imagine the amount of money that you need to have in order for them to be successful, you know. So but that's just three papers or three faculty. But if you will invest on all the faculty, and you are investing on on the citations of the institutions, you know. So if we have that, most of the colleges, then, you know, so if they search, the library will have that even, and they can search our papers, and they can put that in their papers. Then it will have a good institutional impact. And imagine if we are doing that, and we're maintaining that for free, then all of this, we no longer need to invest in so high, of a money, by just, you know, investing on one or two faculty. So the stronger objective is a growing collection of a credible, properly presented, discoverable, and citable research. Quality remains essential there. Discoverability simply ensures that quality has a chance to be seen. So if you are not discoverable, for example, in Google Scholar, you know, so you will not get cited. And even if you get discovered in your website, oh, you have a paper like this, and then it gets cited. But if that citation is not discoverable in Google Scholar, then, you know, it's not anymore going, I mean, it's not going to enter into that, area of, you know, institutional impact. We cannot put that in our portfolio, in our accreditation. It will not, you will not get ranked internationally because of that. So we have to do that, properly as the other countries are doing it. So instead of spending solely on repeated external publication attempts, because in, like most of the publication now, even with the submitting, they are spending money there, right? So but instead of spending solely on repeated external publication attempts, a school can invest in an institutional journal ecosystem. This includes a dedicated platform, editorial governance, peer review procedures, publication ethics, international participation, and dependable technical maintenance. The return is not simply a website. The institution develops enduring scholarly publishing capacity. An institution owned journal must never become an automatic outlet for internal papers. Credibility depends on genuine editorial independence, which is what we do in our journals, you know, in SLSI Press. We have a documented peer review, we have qualified reviewers, even international reviewers. We have a clear ethics, consistent standards, and the willingness to reject or revise weak submissions. International authors and reviewers strengthen the reach, but they must participate meaningfully rather than appear only as names on a web page. So our own experience provides a practical demonstration. So our SLSI. So after approximately 1 year, the portfolio includes 6 active journals and more than 167 as we speak, published articles. New articles have typically appeared in Google Scholar in about 4 days. So we have proof of that in our Gmail. So by the time we publish one journal issue after 4 days, then it appears in Google Scholar. Okay, so the journals would follow quarterly or semi-annual schedules, use peer review, and include international contributors. These are presenter supplied operational figured, and this is not a guarantee that every platform or every future article will follow the same timeline. So I'm just saying this is our experience, and this is to show you how our experience brought us so far, and we know what to do. That's what we mean, you know, when we say this. So that's why we are offering partnership with your institution. We can even host your journal, uh, or you can publish with our journals. And since, you know, it's not as high and mighty as some of the Scopus indexed papers, then it appears immediately in Google Scholar. I mean, in a matter of 4 days. So there are two complementary service paths. So first, an institution may establish and host a journal within a professionally maintained OJS or open journal environment. I can help you there, So because I did that, I did the coding myself, and for approximately 10 hours, I did the coding myself just to ensure that all the metadata are there. Now, second, another option is to appropriate manuscripts may be submitted to existing journals that already have functioning editorial and discoverability systems. So I'm saying that our SLSI Press maintains those 6 journals, and we are adding 2 more this year before the end of the year or early next year. So we already know how it's done. So a journal may support ethical cost recovery through transparent publication services. We have APC, but that fees never purchase acceptance. So we don't accept fees for merely for submission, but only upon acceptance. Editorial decisions remain independent because we have peer reviewers, and most of our peer reviewers are abroad from other countries. So there is no defensible shortcut to Scopus or World of Science, SCI readiness. The process begins with a correctly structured journal. There's a clear scope, appropriate identifiers, transparent policies, strong ethics. It then requires regular publication, credible peer review, relevant scholarship, citation performance, and editorial standing. Scopus does not publish a universal promise that 5 years automatically qualifies a journal, but most of the time, that is the timeline. So longevity helps demonstrate consistency, but readiness must be evaluated against the current criteria before applying. So once we hit a 1 year mark, then all our journals will be applying for the DOAJ. So the recommendation is not to choose Google Scholar instead of Scopus, but the recommendation is to build a pathway between research production and recognize impact. Publish properly, make articles discoverable, and allow good work to earn citations. Sustain editorial quality and regularity. Then pursue Scopus inclusion when the evidence is mature. This reduces dependence on a publication fishing expedition and gives the institution a credible scholarly system that it can maintain, improve, and eventually present for external evaluation. So most of the times, it's needed for ranking and for accreditation, local accreditation, international accreditations as well. So thank you very much. This has been Dr. Ramon George Atento. I represent the SLSI publishing. We publish journals, and currently we have 6 active journals. Thank you very much. Thank you for listening.